Right now, we have training on Monday nights and then the fourth Tuesday of the month. And it doesn't give us a lot of time. By the time we cover all the required events or all the required OSHA training, doesn't give us a lot of time for any of the extras like vehicle extrication or fast team operations or any of those things. So that's why we asked for the computer program, so that the firefighters could go in, take their course, things like bloodborne pathogens, just to name one. They could go in, take their course, take the test, and they come in and present us with a certificate that the program would give them. And then we'd be able to check them off as how they're completing their certifications.
So the computer program would allow them to do it at any time?
At any given time,
And
they could
they
sit
could
home and do
complete
it.
it and
Right.
get it out of the way, as
Right.
opposed to having to do it at the times that you schedule?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And how are we doing that now? Does Kerma provide that? Chuck provides that?
No, Chuck does the bloodborne, HAZCOM and,
CPR, AED,
yeah, all those.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Any quick, go ahead. questions?
No, just on that line 223 that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So was that line item for the same purchases last year? We have the 4,800 down, 2 sets of fire turnout gear and 3 replacement
The-
nozzles? Or it was a different item and it's just approximately the same amount?
Those are different items. On
Okay.
On that line item there, we asked to purchase, I gotta find my cheat sheet here. Replace some hand lights, put a Sawzall on the engine out at Station 2, and to purchase what they call a RIT bag. And what the RIT bag does, it allows you to rescue a firefighter, has the materials in there, an air pack, a few other things that allows you to go in and rescue a firefighter if he goes down in a fire. We do have what they call a fast team responding to any major incident, where their mission is to just stage in front of the building, and in the event a firefighter goes down, that's the crew that goes in and designates their efforts to rescue him. We did use them on the Morris Lane fire when Bill Ricks went through the floor. So it could happen at any given time. However, it takes about 10, 12 minutes for the fast team to get here, and our fast team is from Old Saybrook Fire Department. So in that first 10 minutes, we have to be prepared to be able to get that person out of the building.
And that's what the
And
kit
that's what
would-
that RIT kit is. So.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Hardy or Mr. Siri?
On line 218, the OSHA testing,
Yes.
Mr. Formica suggested reducing that by $1,000. Now, last year you had 12,000 budgeted for that, or this year, 214, 12,000. How much of that 12,000 have you utilized?
We will utilize all of that 12,000 this year. It's, the budget, the way I handle the budget for Niantic is I space it out throughout the given year. We still have to do, we've done our air pack flow testing. We still have to do our ladder testing, our ground ladder testing, and there's a couple other items that still need to be done. So we'll pretty much use it.
And all of that equipment must be inspected for the budget year 2015.
Yes.
And so how will you do that with $1,000 less?
Operate within my means, try to, if there's an account that has some extra money in it, I'll apply it to that. I'll transfer the funds if need be.
Of this equipment that's being inspected, what happens if it doesn't meet the OSHA requirements?
It's taken out of service.
And then that money would have to come out of your maintenance account? Where would that money come from?
Hopefully, it's not an expensive piece of equipment, but if it's a piece of equipment that's expensive, I'd probably be back seeing you.
Okay,
to be perfectly honest with you.
so you don't have anything in there to account,
No.
inspection account for that?
We've been very fortunate, everything's gone smooth. The air packs were all tested, they passed, and a few minor repairs that were made, and the budget was able to handle that, so.
So these safety inspections are done by your own department and your own people?
No,
They're done by, they come in and OSHA does
right,
this?
these are certified people. Shipman's Fire Equipment has people that are certified to do the air pack testing. We use Top Rung Ladder Inspection, Jim Savali out of Salem, who's certified in testing the aerial ladder and ground ladders, and they,
So whatever the fee is, we have to pay it?
yes, and that's what's in that OSHA account.
And the equipment, if it's not inspected, cannot be used?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And the other question that I had for you, last year, the Board of Finance chose to cut out 2 of the fire hoses, which you had requested and this board had approved.
Yes,
Subsequently, we had to find money to replace those.
yes, and thank you.
So now, were those fire hoses that failed the OSHA testing?
No, those were some of them did fail. Some of them failed. But the bulk of the hose that we bought on the special appropriation was to replace hose that was manufactured prior to 1987. And that's the new NFPA standard that's out there. You'll see in the capital budget, we asked for $16,000 to replace a lot more of the larger diameter hose, the 3-inch hose that we've had for over 45 years on the rigs.
Okay, so we'll see that when we come to the capital budget.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Sear?
Fine.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? No?
No.
Good, thank you
Great,
very much.
thank you.
Good evening, Chief.
Evening.
Again, thank you for everything you do.
I appreciate the board being here.
Wouldn't be anywhere else, Jim.
Anything that you want to talk about? We have a little increase in overtime and a decrease in vehicle maintenance. Your OSHA account is up a little bit. Those look like the 2 or 3 items.
Sure, I can start with the overtime. We tried to bring it back to what it was prior to last year. Board of Finance determined that I had too much overtime money and they took some away. I've asked to bring it back to at least where it was or what the last year's request was. I believe that's a reasonable number. Maybe Ms. Johnson can tell you that I'm either above or below where I should be, depending on where I am in the year right now, to see if the number that they proposed will fly or not. I don't believe it will. I think we're gonna be short. The OSHA account increased. I proposed, we have 55 SCBA bottles, not packs, but bottles. Those bottles have an expected life, and those bottles are coming up onto that life. I proposed to Mr. Formica that we start trying to replace some of those bottles soon, maybe in this case, it's gonna be 2 years early, and start replacing those now, so we don't have a huge amount due in a couple of years from now. So that increase in that OSHA account, that $3,000 or $3,800 is really an increase just to replace those bottles, or to help replace those bottles. I asked for 5 bottle replacements this year. What else increased that we? Radio account, just like Chief McDonald discussed, is the increase is batteries. And maybe Mr. Morris can help me, but 5 years ago approximately, we went into this new radio system. And we're using the same batteries that we used when we originally purchased it. And they literally will last about an hour is what they're lasting now. I actually started buying batteries this year, and I'm asking you to buy more batteries next year.
You recharge the batteries.
We recharge them, but
They don't
So
take a charge
the-
out.
The older ones,
They're-
the older ones last an
yeah.
hour, the newer ones
will
last.
last hours,
Hour.
and not just hour.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with the batteries. The uniforms got increased, that's a contractual issue. Did I miss any increases?
Why don't we see what the board wants to talk about while you're there? Ms. Hardy, anything?
I think I'm set.
Mr. Siri?
I'm very sad.
Mr. Wilson?
Jim, the overtime.
Yes.
You're finding your full-time guys have to work a lot more on weekends and evenings
Yes,
because you don't have anybody else to work.
that's a fair statement, yes.
Okay. Well, the reality is, I mean, that's the idea of volunteers, and we're listening to all the ramifications of having people certified and
Huge,
buying computer programs to keep people trying to recertify when they're involved. So this is the reality of what we're going to go down every road from here on down.
I think, and I've spoken to Mr. Formica before, and I've probably talked about it in years past. Every year I see a decrease in volunteers. Every single year I see a decrease. And it's coming to when I started, we would fight to get to the scene and fight to get on the apparatus and fight to get the piece of equipment to go save the life or put out the fire. Now, I barely have enough
People to drive them.
to people to get there.
Yeah.
And that's where it's turning out to be. The Flanders Fire Department Inc. side did a volunteer awareness type of thing. We sent postcards to every house roughly north of Society Road. And we received 5 brand new members. Now that's 5 more members than I can remember in 5 years. So that's what you're looking at. And they're not even certified. I now have to, they're 4 out of 5 are in an EMT class
At $1,000 a shot.
at $900 to be fair. And we haven't even sent them to a firefighter class yet at $675, I believe, each person. So, I mean, we're not even there. I have new members, but I can't do a whole lot with them. So that's what we're looking at. We're all looking at. There was a gentleman talking earlier about taxes going up. I see taxes going up because there's not going to be a volunteer system much longer. That's what I see.
Yeah. All right, I just wanted to at least cover the fact that I know you've endured some hardships up there with trying to cover shifts, and it's fallen on to full-time guys
Yeah,
to do that.
huge amount. I've been covering a lot of part-time shifts with full-timers because I don't think I can turn around as the manager and turn around and say I'm not going to fill that shift, but I don't know if that fire truck or that ambulance or that piece of equipment is going to get to your house, and I don't think that's fair to the public. I have a responsibility to that public to provide a service. That's what you're expecting as the public, and if I don't have somebody filling that shift, that may not occur.
All right, well, fair enough. And that's why you're in that position. So you're making the right decision based on what you have in front of you. The OSHA side of it, I understand. The bottles is probably chipping away is the only way you're going to do that.
Like Chief McDonald said, it's things have got to get tested, and things. What I'm running into, what I'm seeing is the bodies that be, the people that determine what safety is, are putting huge restrictions on agencies, towns, governments, and the life expectancy of things is dying very quickly. Like Chief McDonald said, he's working with 45-year-old hose. Well, last year, relatively recently, in the fire service, they decided that anything prior to 89 is no good anymore. They just came out and said you can't do that. So even if it passed testing, they're telling us it's unsafe now. And that's why Chief McDonald's having to push to replace his hose. That's the kind of things we're looking at.
Yeah.
I had a ladder fail last year. Top rung came down and that ladder failed. We're replacing it. That's the kind of things that we have to deal with. So that's why we have testing, and that's why OSHA line items exist.
And the only other thing is that I note the Ambulance Association is continuing to support the fuel initiative, and that is awesome. So I thank them for that. I've got nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick one on that overtime line. I see in the notes that you've included the time needed for training, et cetera, in this line item, whereas before you did not.
No, we always have.
You
Well, at
always
least
have- Or is this
results-
an old note, maybe?
Not knowing what you're actually looking at.
Union
think
and
it-
it says union and training hours were discussed in past budgets but never budgeted for. In an effort to create an accurate and reasonable budget, I've added these items in. Is that an old note?
What, where are you looking?
I'm looking
611.
under 611, no, actually
612.
612, part-time firefighters, the note.
Okay.
As chief, I'll be looking for 3 full-time firefighters to attend up to 40. Just the inference I'm taking from this note is that prior to this budget, you weren't including those hours in. And I was saying, where were they included, or?
I'll have to fall on the sword.
That's
Yeah.
I don't know
Where this
where
came
I
from.
copied it from.
Okay,
because
that's fine.
I probably did copy it from years past.
Okay,
So I will fall on the sword. That's not true. We have sent them for
okay.
many years now.
So basically, this.
Chuck's here. He'll
the-
bandage you up while we
so
drag you
so
off.
This needs an update.
You won't
Yeah.
see it next year.
Okay, thank
It's not
you.
the overtime line, though, right?
This is in this 612, yeah,
Yeah.
firefighters, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you. That's
So-
my,
No, that's.
That's all right.
I just wondered where it came from.
Anybody
I'll
else?
say last time I was chief.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you do.
Emergency management,
Management.
224. We'll go right to that.
Emergency
Anna said
management.
you guys have had an awful lot of information processed to defer my budget for a year. Be good?
Okay.
Huh?
Well,
We
good
not
shape.
funded for you?
Okay, we have,
Thank you.
Bless you.
Question.
Mr. Morris?
Mr. Formica, Board. I'll start off that we had an increase in our full-time dispatchers' salary line item because of a contractual issue where I have to mandatory fill shift number 1 and 3 with full-timers. And they are eligible for an awful lot of time off because of their longevity with the town. 1 30 years, 1 11 years, 1 a few years, or 1 year rather. And that has caused a problem. When we first signed their contract last year, we fitted for 28 days and we exceeded that, so that line item is up, as you can see. Some of the other issues that we did is that we budgeted in our supply line for upgrade for IMC for the police modular. That's new to us this year. So that was a upgrade in our supply line to make that work. And the other issues are just longevity and upgrades for their tenure with service. Any other questions that you may have out of this budget?
Mr. Wilson?
Dick, under the radio maintenance, that's just what you're contracted, you've got contracted to do? Or is that a contract, or is that something that that is outside of there's more to it than that?
The radio maintenance line item is in there, and they are
Because
tasked with doing all the radios in the town. We have 250 radios, 150 portables. Their maintenance on those within an hour. The consoles they take care of, and that's an annual fee.
okay, good. That's what I was getting at. It's all of the radios.
And-
I mean, your budget covers all of the radios.
Every radio in town,
Yeah.
with the exception of the state police
Yeah,
use radios.
that I was gonna say is that one we figured out today, but, okay, so that makes sense, yeah.
In the long run, this has been a huge cost saving. I know it seems like a lot of money.
Well, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of radios too.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's a lot of parts.
every year that they get older,
Unfortunately, we're facing that. We're seeing the batteries are just
yeah.
deteriorating, like, and it seemed like they're all going at once. It's not like, they've been staging over a year. They've just been, one day it's 6 months, they're failing, so.
That's really the only question I had. Not much else has really changed in this.
Yeah, it's
quite
all
frankly.
pretty much the same.
Just one, 201 telephone, requested increase to cover expected expenses directly related to the upgrade of the fiber optic network. Is that the nutmeg system to which you referred, Bill?
Part of it.
Part of it?
He's the public safety side.
Okay, all right, it just that
Yep,
Bill was here to talk about tying into the fiber optic network, and I wondered
that's
if
gonna
that-
be a big improvement. And one of the things is I may come back and ask for a special appropriation to fit out the necessary equipment to put in the police department, Niantic Firehouse, Flanders Firehouse, and 911, so we can tie that public safety network in to each of the buildings, so it'll be easier when the town moves to Niantic Firehouse to pick up the known to bring that back feed to the town side buildings too. That project is moved along. Bill and I, Carmen Ames, and a few others worked pretty hard to put that together with Star Computer, and it's in review now with the Public Safety Network engineers. And because of our detail that we provided them, I think we're gonna have pretty good luck with getting that ready to be hooked up at the midpoint of March or end of March, which we are much further ahead of any other community in the state.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. That's it?
This side?
I'm very well explained in this write-up. I'm all set.
Sorry? All set, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
That's,
You want to put the camera on?
You don't like the empty chair?
Well, it makes me think of
Next item we're gonna review would be debt service. And it is here, we have debt service, an increase this year.
the number's not, I'm looking, either I flipped by it.
It's down at the bottom.
It's all the way-
523,
520.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
522 is interest, and 523
Three
is
is
principal.
principal.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
okay, yep,
You wanna
there you
do
go.
interest first?
All right, I couldn't find the interest
yes.
one. Yep,
So we'll do the interest first. We see we've had some falling out off the chart, some being reduced. As you make your way down to number 637 and 638, you see those remain the same. And then beginning of the increase, which reflects the $130,000 increase in this line item, is some of these others having to do with the drinking water revolving fund for the regional interconnection. And then the 14, I forget what that is, the new one, Anna. Oh, that's the athletic complex interest and the Lager Hill payment that we had to pay.
Right, right. We're gonna do that bond issue in July, and that will be the one interest payment we'll be required to make next year.
Right. So what we did was do a short-term interest, gather all that money under one area, and then we're gonna bond that out as a larger number instead of individual projects so that we can save. So this represents the interest only. And the drinking water fund is actually a contract we have with the state at 2%, that those bond payments will begin to be paid on principal once the system becomes operational. Is that?
Well, it's 6 months after the scheduled completion date,
Okay.
which is December of this year, and so the first payment will be due on June 30th of 2015.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Go to principal.
It is what it is.
This item is up about $195,000, and again, you see some of the principal is being reduced. You gotta take that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, yep. And then, the same thing, if you fell off, we have a few reductions. The number 11 is about the same. And then you have the drinking water revolving fund principal payment that Anna just talked about. Any comments or questions? Any clarifications, Anna, you think you need to make that I
You did good.
will take a few minutes while you read, or?
No, I think,
No, I mean, it's just the additions, I mean, it's just,
I mean, once Anna gets that winning Mega Millions ticket, we're all set, so.
Oh,
beautiful. No, I have no questions on that. I mean, it's the new additions to it, so, I'm sorry.
you all set, Roseanne?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, the next item then, we'll go to capital improvement plan. We have,
Is that the handout? This one?
yep, you have an updated, the capital long range, well, I'm done with principal.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're okay with that? All right. The capital long-range improvement plan. I think we can just go to capital 724 and then use that sheet that you have that Anna provided this evening. So this is a result of the capital improvement committee moving these items forward. You'll note in the back page, the funding sources in black are in the operating budget, in red reflecting in grants and bonds and notes. Those are in green. The capital non-reoccurring fund is more of a salmon color, and the purple color represents the LoCIP. And blue is in other funds, which doesn't kick in until the following year. So the number that will affect our operating budget will be those in black with the Board of Education and the town as proposed. The bond, ones that we propose to bond will have to go through the appropriations process. One in particular, you note, the Flanders Fire Department has a tower truck in there. We're looking for other alternatives for that. The sidewalk construction, there's a new program at the Council of Governments through the state DOT that we're going to apply for that. The 900 that we've done for 5 years in a row, I believe, is that correct? 4 years or 5 years in a row? We've done that every year, and that's allowed us to improve the road quality, and I think you have the chart, Joe. We can talk a little bit about that.